All right, we got part 14 of In Carnuntum. This one's also extremely brief, even briefer than the last one, actually. And it goes, It goes as follows. Stop drifting. You're not going to reread your brief comments, your deeds of the ancient Greeks and Romans, the commonplace books you saved for your old age. Sprint for the finish. Write off your hopes, and if your well-being matters to you, be your own savior while you can. So again, not to beat an old horse to death here, but living intentfully. Don't drift around doing things just for the sake of others or because you're comfortable, unless that is your intention to just have some leisure time. And then I think what he's getting here at with you're not going to reread your brief comments, your deeds of the ancient Greeks and Romans, some commonplace books you save for old ages. I think what he's getting at here is you gotta go live your life, and maybe I don't know what the topics of these books are, that they're in italics. As he said in past ones, in past books, or in past passages, it's great to read some books and to be informed, but the real lessons come from living life and testing some of those books and some of the lessons from those books against your own character, and through that discovering who you are. So he's saying sprint for the finish. So there's got to be a time where you stop, where you put down the book and begin to actually act on these things, or not just put it off continually into old age, that I'll find it out then, when I have time, when I'm not so busy, when once I get all my ducks in a row and all the dominoes stacked up, that's when I will begin to do these things. He's saying to stop doing that and to get to it, and it doesn't have to be some extreme form of this. It can be small, actionable steps, but it's more important to do it, and at the highest and fastest pace that you can sustain comfortably and consistently as well. So that's what I would consider this a sprint. It would be no good to burn yourself out and then stop and crash and burn and spend another 6 months or a year picking up the pieces again and trying again. That would be quite unsustainable and not very pleasant. So my interpretation of him saying sprint for the finish is to do it as fast as you can. And the reason for that is because if your well-being matters to you, be your own savior while you can. And again, he's alluding to different things that he said here, but we have no idea and no control or influence really over when our minds or bodies will fail us. I'm sure if we did, we would opt not to have those things fail, and so we never know when an accident will happen or a medical injury, anything like this. And so while you still have the capacity and ability to do things and to say things and to think, start doing it and start improving your life. And it might sound a little blunt, a little aggressive, but sometimes those are emotions that get us moving. Some of these hard truths, to accept your own morality or mortality. These are things that have to be said to people, and they're worth noting. They're not to be just discounted as aggressive speech, as a kind of, and not to such an extreme as like a hustler culture where you're burning yourself out on both ends. But a lot of it's driven by this trying to negate the fear and the regret of a life unlived. And you see it all the time. I think I might have mentioned this in past videos, but it's worth mentioning again because it's really the crux of a lot of the things that he says. But there's studies done with elderly people in hospice care or at the end of their life, and they're often asked if they would change anything. And it's few and far between the people that would say, I shouldn't have taken that risk. I shouldn't have done this thing that I was excited about. Often people regret the things that they didn't do, and there's often various reasons for that, some of them more justifiable than others, or more reasonable than others. But really what he's getting at here is you don't want to find yourself in a position where you're no longer able to do things and you regret. You can't look back and say, well, like, when I still had the use of my body, I used it up. I got use out of it, or I used my mind to the fullest, or I didn't, rather. These regrets can be quite detrimental to the psyche, to emotions, and in saying that, at that point in time, if someone's feeling this way, you'd begin to look at, well, in what ways can you make right by those decisions, or try again, even with lesser ability or lesser lesser ability. And there's things that can certainly be done, but it can be very, very powerful if you're at the end of your life and you look back and it's full of regrets of a life unlived, and you weren't the master of your own life. I think that's all we'll say for that one. It's it's brief, and again, it's in line with a lot of these other ones, so not to beat an old dead horse. Thanks for listening.